Tell us about Macy's. I mean, they're having a good day.
Well, I think you should ask the CEO of Macy's. I think, listen, I guess the number was about 1.4%. And so considering that's the first quarter in 12 quarters, they've beaten comp stores from the year before. I think that's good. I think there were easy comps in the fourth quarter. I mean, very warm the last 2 years. The fourth quarter over the last 2 years, I think they've been down 8%. So it's a 1.4 on an 8% over a 2-year trend. And I think very, very weak first quarter comps, too. The first quarter over the last 2 years, I think, are -5, -6. So I think, listen, from a psychological point of view, if I was working in Macy's today, I'd feel better. From a point of view, is this the answer to the problem of department store retail? No, not at all.
Well, it's so fascinating the way you put it. It almost sounds like it's technicals. It's sort of weak comparisons with the comparable quarter last year. Are there strategic things that they've done that would actually sustain this growth going forward?
I don't know. I've said on this show many times, the department store model is broken in my mind. And when I say broken, I mean from Neiman's down to Saks to Macy's. It's not a model that's going to work long term. The fact of the matter is, when you look at the Macy's numbers and see the cash flow that they spin off, I mean, this is a viable business. But is it a viable business with a real growth pattern? Can it compete with Amazon? Can it compete with TJ Maxx? Can it compete with those kind of businesses? At this moment, I still don't believe so, but I still think it's a great brand. And I think new CEO Jeff Gennett maybe has an opportunity to look at some things differently.
So coming out of the earnings season, which retailers are best positioned to weather?
Well, to weather, not the weather above us.
Yeah.
I'm a great believer in Walmart. I know they got whacked last week because the internet was off. I mean, I think that's very short-sighted on the street because they think the internet's 3% of their business. It was 23% ahead, 24% ahead, just because it wasn't 44. But their four-wall business was the best quarter they've had in many years. The things they are doing, the buy online, pick up in store. When you stop and think about Walmart, 90% of American citizens, 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart store. Think about the impact that has, where Amazon is 40% of the American population lives within 20 miles of a distribution center. I think Walmart is really key. I think Home Depot, I think Costco, I think TJ, Burlington, Ross, that whole milieu and that group there. I think Nordstrom's will be interesting to see what happens if they do go private. I think of the department stores, they're the strongest of the independents with a kind of a future that I think is going to be needed.
So when you take a look at, say, tax reform added into these companies, what do you think that they should do with the money? You're looking at buybacks? Should they compete each other in terms of discounts and it's wind up going to be more deflationary? Do they raise wages? Do they do CapEx? What's the most likely scenario for this group?
Well, the easy way out is they'll buy back stock.
Right.
The next easy thing is they'll reduce debt. The more complicated thing is they're really going to put interesting or what I would call serious money behind building the brand. And that'll be number 3. Take a look at what Macy's did over the last number of years in buying back, close to $7 billion worth of stock at very inflated prices, instead of putting that money into the stores. I think that you can grow this business, but the model has to change. And so what's going to happen? It's an interesting question. But the real key is, are you going to put enough into really changing the template of a store that over a period of time, you can take the long view. When you think of what Walmart has done over the last 2 or 3 years with a new CEO, that here you have the biggest ship in the harbor, can turn the way they're turning. I really do believe it. One other thing, people use this Amazon as the issue. I think Amazon is a false issue. I think Amazon is an enormous impact on the market, but Amazon is not the reason the department stores are suffering. There's a statistic I saw the other day that of the 26% of the Macy's shoppers who have left Macy's or shopped less in Macy's in the last 3 years, less than half of those have migrated to Amazon. The rest have migrated to Kohl's, to Target, and to the lower income, to TJ and to Walmart. That's really an important issue.